So, happy July 4th day. It feels so silent, so still. And yeah, the last few days, it's interesting. I mean, sickness is really different now when it comes to the climate changing, the unstable atmosphere, how it affects me now. It doesn't affect me like it used to. It affects me really differently. It's almost like I don't even notice the sickness coming on because the frequencies have changed so much that they now are like, I just blow my nose at night and I get up early in the morning. I might have a few dreams. I might listen to a few videos, maybe take a few naps every so often. And that's normal to me. But then when the frequencies and the environment changes to such a level, then there is this onset of life, an onset of mucus that is even more than usual. And then I have to go and blow it out. But sometimes I can just blow it out, no big deal. And I get up the next morning as if nothing has really happened. But lately, the last few days, last week or so, it's been more so blowing it out overnight. It's been more so trying to recalibrate and just kind of get back onto an even playing field type of thing. And so, yeah, yesterday, I did not want to get on Facebook. I didn't want to do pretty much anything, and except for to sleep and to eat. And I still have my taste buds and I still have all my five senses, but I needed more sleep. And I also am coughing to bring everything down. What do you mean bring everything down? When you cough, you develop pressure and it pushes whatever crap in your system out. So when I've been feeling the arm pains because of the frequency shifts and because there's excessive growth because of the heat and the particle acceleration, then my body is now on point. My immune system is so on point. I have adipose tissue. I'm not too obese. I'm not too skinny. And so then the system is able to push out any excessive growth through the filtration system and then out the different channels. And so releasing those demons, releasing those excessive demons have been pretty aggressive because the body has to get rid of it. And so my system is open now. So then, of course, yes, eating more and also farting a lot and resting when I need to and pooping like a few times, even more so, even on the same days. And that's the body releasing those demons. And so it's because I have opened up my system and allowed it to release. Those that have a closed system, as you're going to see, people not only cannot survive a climate change or excessive growth, but they get diagnosable conditions and they get on their remedies and their surgeries and all their different herbs and extracts. And so I'm releasing any damaged cells because that's what's going on right now during this climate shift, is that every single time there is an unstable pulse, an unstable type of even inclement weather, it causes damage, but it's not like damage you can't come back from, but some who are really far gone, it's damage they can't come back from. And that's why there's the died suddenlies. And so why releasing damaged cells in your body is necessary? What kind of offspring in your body as well as in your society are you developing? Now I'm going to go back a little bit to the past back to my last video to cover things that I didn't cover and then try to work my way up from the last few days, because I've been either watching movies, I've been finally cementing my arguments so that way people understand where I'm coming from. Believe me, if I didn't have a platform like JJ's, I would just be another disgruntled person who had a bad childhood and wanted to explain it away. But no, this is why I'm doing all of this, is that way those have, during this Independence Day, those that want to be free from all of that bullshit that the scientists did to people, causing them to be predatory and victims, I want to give them a way out and an explanation of why they act the way they act, why people go after people, why it is that we were told to have big families and not evolve and not want to feel change. And so this is your way out. My current book is your way out to release those demons. The book that I'm writing today will be an intellectual explanation of your way out to explain to the world, and I'm giving people a way out so they're not being pigeonholed and then attacked by their peers because of something that scientists did to them or their genetic line and caused them to act in a certain way. Because now you have an access to release those demons. And there's a way to explain it. But it does require somebody to take in new information. Some people will be pigeonholed for the rest of their lives because they cannot take in new information, and they'll forever be a predator or a victim. And other people will find a way out and release those demons. And then I give them an explanation of why they act the way they act, why they have certain proclivities, why they have certain victim/predatory behaviors. And then you can release those demons if you have the space to and the infrastructure in your world. So why releasing damaged cells in your body is necessary? What kind of offspring in your body as well as in your society are you developing? When a child is that damaged from so many factors, it won't matter what you do. Every extreme will turn them into a monster or cause them not to survive the environment. Everybody suffers. I mean, everybody within influence. Okay, so that's why they're trying to guide reproduction carefully, is because what kind of kid, as far as a child, are you developing in our society? And then what kind of cells that when you're going through an energy conversion and there's still damage within you, what kind of cells are you developing that could potentially turn into trigger into a cancer? Why would damaged cells trigger cancer? Because again, life wants to live and it wants to push out the damage and it wants to become whole again. No different than this society when the climate changes and there is an evolution triggered by somebody, then those that are damaged are going to come out and be really boisterous and resist the changes, while others will figure out how to feed that energy, become whole again, and stay out of people's way, because they know people right now are not working with all of their marbles. They're highly triggered and highly predatory or constant victim. And so this is why you have to understand why you have to release the damage, not only in society, when people are going to pick and choose, people are going to pick and figure out, or they're going to choose not to become whole again and be one of those that resist, or people are going to choose to stay out of people's way and become whole again. And it means changing the way they do things. And so when I did the last video, I forgot to mention something because I wanted to mention it, but I didn't mention it because I didn't go far enough back on my videos or on my last transmission in between videos. And so I said one thing I forgot. When you stop spanking or hitting your kid, they will learn the hard way what society expects of them, which means that when people don't get held accountable at home, because if you do hit a child, it could turn them into something aggressive and cataclysmic. And so nowadays, people don't hit their kids and so let them do whatever they want. And then the kid actually has no boundaries because nobody can really reason with them because they're not going to listen. And hitting them is going to turn them into more of a predator. And so parents really have no choice but to allow their kids to become whatever they become. And then society will hold them accountable if that child even survives society and the environment. And so some will survive society programming, respect for the public, other kids will not. Because when they do act out, someone's going to be like, holy shit, and try to hold them accountable. And sometimes it's with deadly force. And so if your child is that out of control, causing someone else to ask you to control your kid, and you only know violence, any type of corporal punishment will make them a weapon. However, not spanking your out of control, impudent child will leave them for Darwinism. Only the strong will survive. But the environment and the parents could create monsters in their society and not even know it because their hands are tied. The kid has so many issues, so many problem type of situations that are laid dormant that just gets triggered by certain things, and the parents have no idea what to do. They absolutely, because they've developed a monster, created a monster because of predisposed issues and damage, and then also the environment has caused even more of the triggers. And so parents are now like, they just hope their kids survive, because they can only do so much. So how will kids learn boundaries? Parents must be more intellectual and find a way for that kid to release the demons, cause them to act out. And if the parents are compromised, so are the kids. Both will destroy each other and destroy the world around them, and the government will help them do it in a legal way. That's why there's going to be a lot more police force and surveillance, because now that the climate is changing, people's situations are going to come to surface, and you're going to see them act out. And so it'll be the blind leading the blind. Watch your friends with kids. It will be extremely obvious because they post their children all over the internet, Again, I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just making observations. I used to be a child raised with corporal punishment and fear, and it almost destroyed me if I hadn't released those demons. The holistic system also almost destroyed me if I hadn't released those demons. And so if you see, and you see the tactics parents promote or denigrate based upon their mommy and me groups. Remember, people's children do no wrong. Don't tell them how to raise your kids. Okay, great. I hope they're not weapons against life, but if parents are weapons against life, so will their children. And so just watch the profession their kids go into, watch how the parents handle disease and symptoms. All is in plain sight. And when you finally see the world for what it is grim, very grim. If kids and parents are not released the damage and the demons in their immune system, they are developing demons in our society. Or the antibodies people must find ways to protect themselves from. And so yes, we need protection from our children, from our out of control children who develop into out of control adults. And so everything is connected, which is why the movies Children of the Corn, The Bad Seed, demonize children, because essentially that is what they are when they undergo so much trauma in utero or from medical holistic system, attacking their life and longevity and or taking food away from their own kids. Now it's up to the parents to not only release their own damage and demons, but also attempt to show their offspring how to as well. Some will and some will not. The system knows this, which is why we are in climate change. You know we cannot force anyone to evolve. So the environment is judge, jury, and executioner, and you have been given a choice. And you choose, live with it or die from it. And that's what people are choosing right now, is that you live from it or die from it. And so this whole thing with saving animals out there, I mean, I know it kind of sucks. There are animals out there that are suffering. They don't really have what it takes to survive on their own. And does saving every animal out there, is it required when then they undergo trauma? They have a nice life for a second, maybe, but then when they start changing, things become traumatic. And so, yeah, we have a lot of feral cats in our neighborhood, and a lot of them, I mean, I've gone up to cats and they run away, which means they're that wild. So there's no saving them, and I'm not going to trap them. They are now part of the landscape. There are some more domesticated animals that will come up to you and want to sniff you and be taken care of, but those are very few and far between. If they do exist, someone has already grabbed them and nabbed them up and taken them to the Humane Society. But there are wild cats out there, and I see them occasionally in my backyard. And so wildcat, he or she does not need saving. So sometimes the wildcat will sleep on my deck, and it's a feral cat that used to be domesticated, but will sleep on my deck or sleep out there by the garage door. So I said the wildcat, he or she does not need saving. He or she comes around when it's all quiet. I would never ever chase this cat off or try to adopt it and tame it for my entertainment. When I said tame it, and then the talk to text says entertainment, I'm like, oh, tame it, entertainment. That's exactly when you tame something, you want it to be your entertainment. That's what's the whole taming of the wild beast, is taking something that was wild, that wanted to be free, and enslaving it through captivity and for your entertainment. So this is a universe, precious creatures who must live out their lifespan. This cat is wild. If I were to domesticate an animal, I better be forever, because the suffering and the death at the end would destroy me. I will not become desensitized to death in order to entertain or tame any animal. That's me, that's my evolution. Not everyone would agree, and that's okay. I still respect you and your choices. With freedom comes responsibility on this day of July 4th. Freedom is not just a flag. Freedom is not just saying that some invisible enemy is out to get you and now you must fight an invisible enemy. Freedom is actually you setting yourself free. That's what's lost on the population even today, is they think because of 1776 and they ran away from England and they came to America, you don't realize England actually is America, and it was the perception that you were enslaved. You might have been, and you might have been able to practice your religion out here, but again, it's all about slavery, because politics, religion, and science is about enslaving the mind. It's about the mind. It's mind control. That's what's on the hook for a lot of people, is that their mind is up for grabs. It's being siphoned into cults. It's been siphoned into religion. The mind is being siphoned into politics and even science dogmas. Okay? And so with freedom comes responsibility. The cat is free because it's responsible for itself. Immortality is left for the extreme intelligent. The cat is intelligent, but not as intelligent as humans, who understand what keeps things alive, not what causes death. Humans are at the top of the food chain if they want to be. And so if you want to set your mind free, you have to read almost everything. I I follow this guy named Andrew Tate. Bless his heart. I know he means well, but when he says that men should not read, men should only act. Yeah, what are you acting from? Reading will give you so many different perspectives, but you should also question everything you read and develop your own thesis and realize that there's so many ideas out there that deserve some kind of consideration, but don't get pigeonholed. Always be able to evolve and even question what you read, but evolve what you're reading and evolve the platforms that you have and not stay stuck in just one idea thought process. Because if you do stay stuck in one idea thought process, then anyone that is different or challenges that will then become subhuman to you. And that's where genocides happen. When people become subhuman to each other because someone has challenged their belief system and caused them to think you're a monster or you're this or you're that, when in actuality, they're realizing that the world is not what it always seems to be. The world can change and evolve, but people don't. And that's why they destroy each other. And so that's why reading is so important. Opening up your mind, okay? Obviously releasing demons in your body and then realizing that you don't have to die someday. And if you do, that is your absolution for violating the laws of life. And people will give you that absolution. They'll give you a guilt-free way of leaving this earth because some people will never change. Okay, so I said, here's another author list. There's no reason why anyone should be bored in this world. Expand your brain, expand your mind. Feed it something completely different. Okay, so the Mythopoeic Society is a national international organization promoting the study, discussion, and enjoyment of fantastic and mythopoeic literature through books and periodicals, annual conferences, discussion groups, awards, and more. We are especially interested in the works of J.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis. So J.R. Tolkien, you know, Lord of the Rings. C.S. Lewis is Alice in Wonderland. I think that's what it is, yeah. And Through the Looking Glass and all that. And then Charles Williams. I don't know all of his works, but I'm sure I think I Googled it. I don't recognize it, but that's okay. Prominent members of the informal Oxford literary circle known as the Inklings. Okay, 1930s and 1950s. And so there's a link to that. I gotta blow my nose. Hold on. This is what I do to release the demons. I keep blowing my nose, okay? Especially in this environment. And so I'm kind of going back the last few days. So I've been watching The Matrix. The Matrix is an allegory that is trying to tell us that there's going to be the machines that are going to be the ones that are going to be the judge, jury, and executioner. Obviously, with this climate change, there's HAARP, there's CERN, Wi-Fi, particle acceleration. It's all done by machines. And humans are machines, but then there's also machines that are programmed by humans to then keep the balance and predict things based upon algorithms and patterns that were programmed into the machines. And so the Matrix is an intellectual war. The Matrix is the intellectual war. It's the mind. It watches so differently during these times of our lives. So I'm watching the Matrix, watching through a different pair of eyes, through the J world. And wow, it really does watch differently. Because I watched it way back in 2003, 2002, and I was in college at the time. I remember my professor was trying to ask us to, was asking us to analyze the Matrix through our English lit class. And back then, it was so new that we're like, oh, the Matrix is like, everything is a computer. We're living in some kind of algorithm of zeros and ones, which is binary code. And that was, I'm sure, even before all the tech world was coming up. 1998 was not that long ago of AOL. And so 2003 was not that far away. And it was right after 9/11. So we were entering into the fourth turning of the tech industry, the upcoming tech world, Facebook, MySpace, Friendster, all of that. Okay. So now when you watch The Matrix through the J world, it does watch really differently during this time of our lives. The system gave everyone a chance to discover what it needs to discover. Everyone watching the movies will think they are the one, right? When they're watching The Matrix, red pill, the blue pill, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm the one to go and wake everybody up. I'm woke, I'm awake. You see the people who are resisting the Illuminati and all of that stuff. Watching people walk down the street. All right. And so the Matrix is an intellectual war. It's the mind. It watches so differently during this time of our lives. The system gave everyone a chance to discover what it needs to discover. Everyone watching the movies will think they are the one, Neo, to expose the truth or a truth. all of us are the one, the Neo. But what kind of one Neo do you want to be? Choose your own adventure. Be careful trying to save the world. Everyone's an agent. They're an agent for their own system, the Matrix, protecting their own world, the Matrix. And everyone thinks they're the one or found the one. And that's politics. That's all religions and spirituality. That's all science dogmas. That's the deception, is you think Trump is the one, you think Biden is the one, you think your religion is the one, you think your belief system, your culture is the one. I mean, watch everyone think they are the one that has found the Holy Grail, whatever it is, okay? And they're going to pound that type of conversion into people's heads and develop religions and groups and spirituality around that. And they don't realize that they were programmed to think they have the answer. And in reality, you're just promoting the same thing that's been promoted forever, which is you find a religion, a science, and a political dogma to bring up to surface and then die with it eventually. And so that's the deception. That's why the whole J world is about stepping out of the war and not buying into the extreme legalistic politics, religion, and science. Realize you need a government on some level to keep things in order, but people take that shit to extreme, okay? And so you will discover what kind of one or Neo you are, and you will protect your own matrix. Even fight to the death. People will die for their own matrix. People die for their belief systems. They will die for their religions. And some people will live for them. What kind of one Neo are you? And so Agent Smith was saying that I'd like to share a revelation that I've had during my time here. It comes to me when I've tried to classify your species, and I realize that you're not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment, but you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply until every natural resource is consumed, and the only way you can survive is to spread to other areas. There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? It's a virus. It's a frequency. Human beings are a disease, cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure. And so he's saying this, okay, to Neo. And so Neo is basically everyone out there. That's why they had all those monitors with Neo acting and resisting in different ways. And when you watch The Matrix, you'll understand. So Agent Smith said, did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffer, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some people believe we lack the programming language to describe your perfect world. But I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through suffering and misery. The perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this peak of your civilization. I say your civilization because as soon as we started thinking for you, it really became our civilization, which is, of course, what this is all about. Evolution, Morpheus, evolution, like the dinosaurs. Look at that. Look out the window. You've had your time. The future is our world, Morpheus. The future is our time. Evolution. That's what they're trying to say now. Humans, you're going to be curbed by the machines because we do have a habit of just consuming everything. Obviously, look at your friends and family who are consuming everything. And so when you look at athletes, right? A closed immune system. German bodybuilder and influencer Joe Lidner has died at the age of 30. Joe, known online as Joe Statics, died suddenly in his girlfriend Nika's arms following neck pain 3 days ago. Neck pain. This is where all that the people get meningitis and all that, and that's where it could destroy them if they don't open up their system. And so his cause of death has been revealed as an aneurysm, a ruptured vessel. Okay. Aneurysms, from when there's a weak area in the artery wall, untreated aneurysm can burst open, leading to internal bleeding. They can also cause blood clots that block the flow of blood in your artery. Depending on the location of the aneurysm, rupture or clot can be life-threatening. And so there's a bunch about mythology, and you can read about that, how mythology and the religions and politics create structures of how people think. And so 10 myths that shape how Americans think and act. And that's no different than religions, the creationist theory. Let me read just a real quick here. There are 4 basic theories of myth. Those theories are the rational myth theory, functional myth theory, structural myth theory, and a psychological myth theory. And so when you read about those, if you Google it yourself, you can figure out why humans have to believe in something and why they have to go and worship something or they have to go and demonize something. Because that's the only way they can explain their existence. Because they were given a purpose, and if they don't have that purpose anymore, or they don't know how to develop their own purpose, then somebody always has to give them a purpose to either go and be an activist against something or go and promote something. And they haven't developed their own way of doing stuff. And the infrastructure is now built, and you can develop any purpose you want. They have given people every single thing out there that they could do as far as keeping up with the infrastructure, adding more innovation to the infrastructure, making the world a beautiful, better place. There's so many places you can go to figure out what your purpose is. That when you are born with a purpose and given a purpose at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, and then all the way up to your 18, and then after that you can choose to stay with the purpose they're given to you or redirect and evolve. But you eventually have a choice to go and redirect the purpose that was given to you, because sometimes that purpose also has a self-destruct. Okay? And so now people are figuring out in the J world that they don't have to be stuck with the specific programming that was forced into them or forced onto them in politics, religion, science, and that you can now develop your own purpose. Doesn't mean you have to develop your own religion, but you can still understand why all religions exist, but not take it to extreme, and then realize that you can evolve and that you don't have to die from your religion or your industry that you're in. All right. And so understand, that's why it's good to understand all the different myths, the mythologies in Hindu, Norse, American mythology, Greek mythology, all the different mythologies that are out there. I don't say they're myths as far as they're fake or make-believe. It's just what stories were developed at the time to explain why things were the way they are or were at that point and why they are today. People think today, oh God, the aliens. But what if alien just means that someone was introduced to someone that had no experience in their culture, even in their physiological outward appearance, that biotech can develop anything and literature can develop all kinds of cultures and you can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, that's physics, that's chemistry, that's math, that's English, that's language. All right. Those are stories. You can develop extremely conservative stories or very liberal stories, and you can develop whatever the hell you want once you understand the foundation of stories. It's math and English and physics. All right. And so the dangers of buying into stories to such an extent, to such an extreme, is when you have someone that says this: they wear human skin but are far from humankind. Now, I'm not going to say who said that, because I'm not trying to put anyone under the gun type of thing. I'm not trying to go after anyone or attack them. They put whatever on their Facebook many people have put the same thing on their Facebook. Many people have, because I came from the conspiracy world where there's reptilians out there that are trying to destroy humanity, and they say that they wear human skin, can shapeshift, and you won't know who they are, and da-da-da. And of course, we watched videos that different photo editing can make things look a certain way based upon the intention. And so why genocides have happened so many times in the past, because of intolerance to diversity, intolerance to new ideas, intolerance to change, and then people develop stories around it, and then they have people that may exemplify certain characteristics that gave those stories the theme and gave those stories gas and power, and then people live from those stories as if they're real, and they go and hunt, they witch hunt people that exemplify what they think is the enemy. And so when people say, even on their Facebook, they wear human skin but are far from humankind, that's the beginning of something Hitler-esque. That's the beginning of genocide. Be careful who you entertain. That first sentence, they wear human skin but are far from humankind, that first sentence is scary. Very scary. That's how religion can ruin a person. Some religions go to that extreme where somebody introduces evolution, someone figures out that we don't have to die someday, someone figures out that you have to face the pain and feed it, and nothing is poison out there, and they've been radicalized to such an extent against the system, against non-believers or infidels, that anyone exhibits the opposite, they are not human. They are subhuman to them. And I can only imagine people think of me. Oh, believe me, I can only imagine. And I have been experiencing what people think of me when they are that radicalized against diversity, against new ideas, against everything. And so that's how religions, I don't care what it is, whether it could be religion around cannabis, around that you're supposed to die someday, or around Jesus Christ, or any of the offshoots, or around Hebrew, or around any kind of spirituality. That's how a religion or spirituality can ruin a person. That is fucking scary. That is how humans destroy each other, through the words. And the words turn into actions, and those actions turn into then a lifestyle. And that lifestyle turns into a belief system, and then that gets poisoned. That poison permeates the next genetic line, the families, and people around them that are also trying to figure out what's going on. They don't know what it is. So someone gives them the answer to what they think is wrong, and then there you go. That's where the cults come from. That's where all these things come from. And so, what do I mean, all these things? All the different extremism in politics, in religions, in science dogmas. And that's how humans destroy each other. The world's not what you think. When people think other people are subhuman, that is how they justify destroy another human and torture them. They have to think of you as not human in order to destroy you. That's why you're seeing even families destroying each other, because they don't think their kids are human. They don't think their kids are anything but just someone that should be following in lockstep and never questioning mommy and daddy ever. And that's why you're seeing families are now self-imploding as well, because the kids are trying to survive and question, and not like something is destroying their evolution, and the parents are like, nope. And some parents go to extreme, and then that's where things happen and people are all over the news. And so that's fucking scary. Now you see how genocide begins. It takes one person to poison the population. I can only imagine what this person thinks of me. Like, seriously. The capacity to place yourself in someone else's shoes makes you realize that first statement is why we are in this great reset. I put myself in that person's shoes. I know exactly if they had the power to go and destroy, they would. If they actually had the power to take something and destroy anyone that did not follow in line with what their thought process is, they would destroy. That's the thing. The capacity to place yourself in someone else's shoes, whether it's my shoes or their shoes. Could they put themselves in my shoes? No, because they're thinking that. But I could put myself in someone else's shoes that thinks everyone that is a non-believer is Satan, and that is scary. But that person would never put themselves in my shoes, because they don't ever believe that that there could be a minority, that they could be wrong about something, that they could be targeted from somebody else thinking that they're this way. And so I just walk away from the extremists. I get out of the war. That's why I don't entertain those that promote so much religion or politics or scientific dogmas on my page. And if people do, then I hold them to a different standard and tell them to get off the page. Why is that a different standard? Because if you're not going to promote unity and talk about just your evolution, then yeah, I'm not trying to have, genociders on my page destroying people through the words. Not going to happen. So I will hold them to a different standard. They got to take that shit over to their page and entertain those type of people. But you're not entertaining that on my page. Okay? And so that statement alone is why we're in a great reset. That is why I do not circulate in diverse company. You don't know who you're entertaining. Just read people's Facebooks. They will tell you exactly who they are if you open your eyes and your ears. How is this any different from 20 years ago? The frequencies were slower, and most people tried to fit in or kept out of sight, and social media didn't give you the exposure. People were in jail of their life, no real exposure to diversity until now. And now people are breaking free, and it's dangerous to be free in a world full of jailbirds. I should know. If you've been following me, you saw my journey. The world is not what you think. And so once you break free from the politics, from the religion and the science dogmas, you will see most people out there will try to go and pull that person back in and will browbeat them and denigrate them and completely just reject them. But then that's probably a good thing, but not really, because then that person has to deal with people rejecting them and not embracing them. But then again, you got to figure out who's going to convert who. Either you're going to convert people to understand change and evolution, or they're going to convert you to stay the same and die with their programming. And then that's when you realize that you don't want to be in that kind of war. You want to walk away from That situation where your evolution can destroy someone and they're wanting to stay the same and cured will destroy you. That's where you have to realize you're not going to win when you're trying to convert other people. You will only win when you stand to yourself and you can only fight the battles that you know you're going to win. That is not going to destroy you and overwhelm you. And that's going to be a hard thing for a lot of people who are with a lot of friends and family and people who have jailed them into those ideologies. That's what people are up against, is their friends and family. And so Agent Smith converting a freedom fighter against the machines into another Agent Smith clone. And so when you saw the Matrix and you saw Agent Smith take his hand and go right into the heart of certain things that were coming into the programming and turn them into another Agent Smith, me. Activists will identify with Neo, not Agent Smith. Obviously, you're seeing the anti-government. They're anti-G men, right? Anti-government men. Agent Smith represents the government, but what happens if actually Agent Smith was the freedom and Neo was the one that was in jail? But that's the thing. That's what you have to realize, that everything is all relative to how you want to view who the enemy is and who the good guy is. It's all relative. So what if Agent Smith is the freedom and Neo was the one in jail? And then you see all those you saw those monitors of Neo resisting in different ways, saying, oh, it's bullshit, this and that, And so now you're seeing what the Matrix is all about, is that maybe you need to be an Agent Smith. And Neo was the one that was in jail. Neo was the one that is not going to survive. Okay, but back then, you would have known that. You would have thought that's probably where the conspiracy world came from. Yeah, the Matrix, red pill to blue pill. That was seeding the whole fourth turning. That was seeding the conspiracy community. But what if Agent Smith was the actual freedom? Yeah, right. You won't see people believe in that when they're all about the red pill, blue pill, right? So before you deprogram, you better understand the programming you want to upload. If you don't know, you'll re-upload the same programming and self-destruct. And so, yeah, we're like, oh, I can't do the oncology and the chemotherapy and the radiation, but I'm going to go and do a bunch of cannabis and starve myself and eat only fruit and that's it, and vegetables. That's just re-uploading the same programming, but in a different way, and you'll still be in self-destruct because you're starving and you can't handle evolution and you're afraid of food. And that's most of the population. And so I said I'll be back on Wednesday, but today is Tuesday because I have the energy. I didn't think I would actually this morning. I woke up late this morning like I did yesterday and the day before. And just blowing my nose. But having to take a few showers and of course I'm releasing demons in the process and blow my nose and all that stuff and eating, but I don't have any pain. Okay, so when I said I'll be back on Wednesday, just tired today. It was Monday, it was yesterday. Okay, storm's pretty crazy. Weather is totally cattywampus. It's hot and it's stormy and it's so thick outside, like you can cut the air with a knife. It really is thick. It's wet outside. And I had a bunch of whipped cream and coffee yesterday and I was just chilling. But when the storm came through last night, which was the Sunday night, I had a bunch of sneezing and I had to release also the demons. I was farting so much the last few days. That was my body pushing everything through. My face is sweating too. So I had to really blow my nose this morning, yesterday. More demons needed to be released. Sat down at my desk assuming yesterday I was going to do a Facebook Live and I just didn't feel like it. And so now, yesterday, I just feel tired, more face sweats yesterday. I had a good appetite, so I'm eating. But definitely didn't feel like I normally did yesterday. Not a bad thing. It is evolution. I'm just aware of it. And I'm telling everybody to take it easy. Some of you are going to be feeling some shit. Some of you are not going to survive this. People are dying during this climate change stuff. And so I was thinking yesterday last night when I was watching, Suits. I'm on the 8th season or the 8th season. And so it's almost done with. But that's fitting Lord of the Rings and the whole Elven stuff. And then fitting the Matrix in the meantime. I'm trying to see if I can get into Star Wars, but I'm not now. That Star Wars is like, I don't know. I like more of the succinct trilogies like Lord of the Rings and the Matrix, and they're more recent. I know Star Wars is recent, but it started back in 1977 and then it just fed from there. It's a lot to get through as far as Star Wars and the whole Yoda and the Mandalorian and all that. And I'm just like, I haven't really got into it since 1977 or 1980. And so anyways, my current book is about acclimating to the New World Order. most people are trying to resist it or unaware it even exists. And so I definitely found a niche. Once my book becomes popular, it would mean that the world has changed, and it's not going to be for a while. So what had me think of that? Because I would Google Jillian and Jillian, I see Jillian Epperly dog, Jillian Epperly, Jilly Juice, where is Jillian? Jillian in a death or whatever. And I'm just like, oh shit. But see, all of what the world is focusing on as far as what I've been doing the last 7 years is what needs to be a national conversation. So about my dog and the veterinary system needs to be a national conversation of not only enslaving animals, but butchering them as well through the medical system, veterinary system. And then also, why are we resisting evolution? Why do we keep taking out organs? Why do we keep attacking evolution with oncology, with starvation, with herbs and extracts? And why are we allowing people to be closed up where they can't release those demons? And then those demons within just cannibalize the person from the inside. So everything that people have found controversy about my information needs to be a national conversation. And so if I have to shock people, right, with my dog, it's shocking with my dog, with how I was trying to save my dog from all out extinction, but she was too far gone because of the medical veterinary system. And so that was shocking to people. Good. Now maybe you'll pay attention to my Facebook, or you'll completely ignore it and then destroy yourself through your own resistance to this awareness. And I could give a shit, because it's not my fault that you guys don't want to be evolutionary or listen to new information. So everything that I'm doing is going to bring about an awareness to everything that people just have a blind eye to. Enslaving, holding friends and family captive, holding animals captive, realizing that maybe game reserves for types of animals that we want should be open and controlled and relatively predator free on some level, but how can it be? So that's why, I don't want to save any animal in my neighborhood, because there are wildcats and all that. And so realizing that, how do we find that balance of protecting almost extinct species and or holding them as captive and enslaving them for entertainment? Which is why I'm glad that some of these zoos are going to the wayside, and even some of these water parks freeing orcas is happening, because these animals are being used as slaves for people's entertainment. We need to learn about them, but now we're learning about them on the internet when they're in the wild, not when they're under somebody else's thumb. Okay? And so, yeah, if my book becomes popular and I get more than just 1 star, and I also realize that people are also reselling my old books, the one that the Exposing the Lies, through Amazon, the reselling $48 for my original book. 48 fucking, and people are buying it. I'm like, holy shit. And so what did I do? I actually went on to my Lulu and released, I think I did, but I don't know if I did or not. Because I didn't really want to put it out there, but people are buying, people are making a mint off of my old books. So I might have released an ebook of the Exposing the Lies. I don't know. If it's circulating out there on Amazon, great. If it's not, whatever. But even though I may have tried to release some of the old books from my old, it may not go through because I took away a lot of I deleted the actual publishing information, which is fine. Either way, the new book that I have now is great, and I may have released an ebook of the Exposing the Lies, but I may not have. Who knows? And so right now, this book is going for $48 through Amazon. It's fucking crazy. $48 fucking dollars for that. Can you believe it? Not really. I can't. All right. So anyways, once this book becomes popular, not this book, then the world's changed. This book is still feeding into the holistic world. This book is not really promoted, but it's going to, and that's fine. If this turns into $100, I could give a shit, because I want people to live. But there's gonna be a segment of people that are gonna want to cure themselves and try to resist the environment. But you can't resist the environment. This book, I'm not really too worried about this book. This is like whatever. But really, the most important book is this, if people can get to this point. And so last night I had a dream. A friend of mine had a dog with a bunch of puppies and following us around a haunted house. And actually Pip was in that dream, which was kind of weird. She was just somewhere in there. So the strongest of the out of the population will see the new populations coming in to make the world stronger. Okay? So like you see Nick Cannon and you see De Niro and all those guys that are, in Hollywood just having a bunch of kids. They're seeding Hollywood. They're seeding the new influencers to take the world in the direction it needs to take. That's what Hollywood is. That's what all the Greek mythology is, and all the gods and demigods is those that are guiding society in a specific way. And so there will be an immortal race. The J world will be an immortal race, okay? Because we've already figured out you have to face the demons, release the demons, and you have to feed, and you have to eat, and you have to deal with all this climate change and find a way to be adaptable. And I'm telling you, if you're living in California or you're living in the Southeast, 117 degrees in Phoenix and Las Vegas, 117, 120 degrees, whatever, in California. And in the South, it is so, the storms are even more so. There's floods, there's hurricanes, tornadoes. I'm telling you, we are in some majorly extreme weather. And if you have already an issue with adaptation and you can't deal with releasing demons and feeding yourself and figuring out the indicators to move away from places that are really aggressive, yeah, you will be mortal. Okay, and you will only live for as long as your body will allow you to, as long as, for however long that is. And there'll be some people who will figure it out. And they will move when they need to, and they will feed their body, and they will release and all that stuff. And so you can choose to become immortal once you've lived out your immortal years as a slave. So when you're born into a society, when you are a child, you are mortal until you figure out how to become immortal. You'll be born as a slave, and some people will not survive their childhood because they don't have what it takes. They have so many predisposed issues. Their parents are attacking them with attacking their evolution with pills, power supplements, and detoxes, and surgeries, and all of that. And so that kid's also starving because parents are afraid of food. That kid may not survive their enslavement as they are trying to grow up in a very aggressive society that has changed. And so some kids will be able to bypass that and maybe redirect. Bypass what? Bypass the potential mortality, the premature mortality, and they might actually be able to redirect and become immortal if they figure out how to balance out what their parents and the world expects of them, as well as what they want out of the life. And so you can choose at some point, if you are aware, if you have parents that are fucking awesome that know what's going on and can direct you, that yes, you're gonna have to fulfill your programming on some level up to your 18, but then you will have a choice. Once you get programmed based upon whatever it is in your environment and your economics situation, then you could still balance out both worlds. You can stay home more than not and become whole again and still be able to serve your community in a way that is peaceful and productive and all that. So you can become immortal once you've lived out your mortal years as a slave. It will be a transition. Not everyone will choose to be immortal because it's painful to transition. You have always been immortal, but the system wanted strong, diverse people. I was made to withstand everything that was trying to destroy my body, mind, and spirit. And so you have a chance, okay? Let me tell you, if I hadn't survived all that bullshit in my childhood, as well as in my adulthood and all that, as well as even finding my husband, then obviously the programming was meant to happen where I would self-destruct. But I was able to be strategic enough to figure out how to sidestep all the bullshit, even though I would be, at some point, I was staring death in the face. People could have destroyed me because they were that close to me. They could have destroyed me, but they didn't. Some who could have really destroyed me saw something in me and said, you know what, I know there's something in you that is whatever, and I could have been something that was, I could have ended up dead at some point. But someone set me free, and I was able to go and figure out the next phase of my life. And when I was told to go and testify against that person, I wasn't going to testify against them because they set me free, and I was not going to go and try to get retribution. I put myself in that position. And so that's the thing, is that trying to get justice against people could bite you in the ass. The reason why you're alive from situations that could have been deadly is because somebody saw something in you that you deserve to live and not die at the hands of them when you could have. And so you take that second chance at life and you don't squander it. You go and move on to the next thing. And so, yeah, that's the thing that people have to realize, is that chasing after justice is a losing venture. You will die in that situation. And so anyways, so I was made to withstand everything that was trying to destroy me, my body, mind, and spirit. And so you have a chance, but it is painful. okay? And facing your inhumanity is painful. Facing what you did to your kids as far as the medical holistic system, facing what you did to your animals as far as the medical holistic system, facing what you did to yourself as far as the medical holistic system, that's going to be hard to face. That is your humanity. That's the allegory in the Vampire Diaries. Is once you become human, it'll be very difficult for you to face everything that you've ever done. And so if you're stronger, you'll be able to release those demons and become whole again and realize that you're not going to go down that road again of squelching evolution and starving yourself and using oncology against your evolution in your life. And then you realize that you may not be able to save your kids, but you can save yourself. And so, but you hope that if you show your kids how to save themselves, they have a chance. And so facing your inhumanity is painful. Okay. And so today is Independence Day, right? July 4th. Giving access to those who want to be free, not rest in peace or waving a flag. There is true freedom on this earth, but it's you who have to face your own demons because you have enslaved yourself, not wanting to change or evolve and want to stay cured. And so what did I say today when I wrote this morning? I'm sick. So yeah, I've been sick the last few weeks, but it's not the same sickness. I'm sick, but it's not painful or diagnosable. I've been blowing my nose, eating, resting, sleeping, and mainly taking it easy. Yesterday, I slept all day. I slept all fucking day yesterday and slept all night last night. Go figure, right? That is what being sick means once a person releases their demons. I was remembering weird memories, but remember that the future is wide open. I finally set myself free. But I also must explain to the world, scientists fucked up many people who became predatory after becoming a victim. All right? So many people do not want to believe that. Many people are predatory now against those who claim are predators. Release those demons. Someone must take up for humanity. It's all fucked up. And so that's the whole J world, is we're representing that you don't have to, that whatever was told to you, whatever was done to you, it doesn't have to turn you into someone that goes after somebody else. It doesn't have to turn you into a predator. Because when I was studying the binary arguments, even a few years ago, back in 2019, 2020, when I was studying those binary driven arguments, I saw the predator and prey, and I couldn't figure out, well, who is a predator? Who's a prey? Well, it's all relative to where you are in the food chain, because someone who's a predator could be prey to somebody else and a victim. And so you look on either side and realize that each one of the people on each side, or each one of the food chain, is either a predator or prey, a victim or a predator. And so now you have to realize that, okay, you're now the most intelligent, and you don't have to be a predator and you don't have to be a victim. You have to release those demons and control the life within your sphere of influence. And you don't try to go and legislate morals onto somebody else. That you take care of yourself, your children, your family, your own fucking backyard, and no one out there should be influencing you so much to where you want to then destroy yourself. But if they do, it's because you've allowed it, because you didn't know any better. And that's what humans are going to figure out, is that once they know better, it's going to be a journey facing everything now they finally have to face if they want to survive. And if they don't want to face all the transgressions and everything that was inhumane to animals and to humans and to their children, and again, treating something isn't necessarily humane. Okay? Not treating something could actually be very humane, but it's all relative to how much are we willing to deal with as far as dealing with suffering. And so some of you were not built to suffer, and so any type of suffering is going to be horrific to you, and so you look at that as a type of predatory type of behavior, but not necessarily. When you look at where it all originates from, when someone is spaying or neutering something, hold on, to control the life, when you're using oncology against something to control the life, when you are staying in your religious dogmatic belief system, worshiping or demonizing something, that is causing then intolerance to anything different, and that is then trying to control somebody else's life. Because why are you in your religions? And why are you proselytizing? Why are you trying to gain more believers? Why are you trying to gain more converts? Why are you trying to convert people? Why is there a demon? Why is there an angel? What if you just could be and control life within your body, in your mind, and spirit, without dying someday, and without promoting death and destruction and absolution to somebody else? Why are you making other people feel guilt-free for destroying their fellow man? That's essentially what the whole J world is about, is questioning why it is you do what you do. And so, no, this is not about, July 4th is not really about America. I mean, it is, for as far as a holiday, if you were to look at it. But it's really Independence Day. Independent from what? Independent from your politics, your religion, your science dogmas. And you set yourself free and realize the war isn't really out there. The war is in your own body that you have to fight. And you don't have to fight. And if you don't want to fight the war in your body, then you will declare war on somebody else. And that's why you get the politics, the religion, and the science dogma. So that way you never have to face the war within. You can always declare war on somebody else. That's why we're in a great reset, because most people out there are lobbing grenades and declaring war on everyone, and they will not fight the wars within their bodies, their mind, and their spirit, and it's everyone else's fault but their own. And that's why they're in the activism. That's why they're in the chemtrails groups. That's why they're in the anti-government groups. That's why they're in the anti-V groups. That's why they are out there marching against something, because they haven't figured out how to deal with their own transgressions. And the government will allow you to have your absolution within reason. If you go outside the lines too much, then yes, the G-men will come after you. Who are the G-men? You figure it out. Good luck. Happy Independence Day. Independent from what? You'll figure it out. Bye.